Hey, how's it going guys? Kris here, and welcome to another Battlefield 5 weapon versus. In today's video, I'm going to be pitting two pretty aggressive support guns against each other, going over their main factors, including lethality, accuracy, and reliability, and letting you know exactly how one might be a little bit more suited for you and your playstyle than the other. The two contenders that are going to be facing off are the LS-26, a light machine gun from Finland, designed in 1925 and used throughout the Winter War, with the other weapon being the FG-42, a lightweight LMG used in limited numbers by German paratroopers during the latter stages of World War II. Two weapons that play out in a similar sort of way in the game, being best used within those danger zones closer to all the chaos up on the front lines. But of course, which is the best for you, and which one should you pick over the other? Let's take a look at those stats and see exactly how the two guns compare. So first things first, you might be wondering which is the weapon that's going to put the other guy on the floor the quickest. Well, that's quite an easy thing to determine because both of the guns unsurprisingly happen to have the same damage stats, equaling the same number of bullets to kill over range. They both deal the standard damage of 25 in close quarters onto the range of 10 meters, where the two guns are going to be capable of dropping players in just 4 shots. Beyond this point though, that damage is going to slump down lower than 25, so it's basically going to take more bullets to do the trick. The damage doesn't exactly drop down too erratically though, as it's only going to go down to 20 up to 50 meters, taking 5 shots to kill up to this range. Though beyond here, you'll often need an extra 6 bullets to chip off that last bit of health, with damage still being reduced up to 75 meters, where it's finally going to settle at 18.5, which is still a 6-shot kill. So 4 to 6 shots to kill in most cases for both weapons, unless of course you manage to land a headshot, reducing the number of bullets to kill by 1. Or unless the enemy you're shooting at has already taken a bit of flak first, with a partially empty health bar. Either way, both the LS-26 and FG-42 are going to perform similarly damage-wise, and there isn't any way to boost this bullet damage either, or make the guns any deadlier, which means that it pretty much just comes down to fire rate to pick the winner for this category, with the FG-42 having the slight advantage, firing 70 RPM faster. The LS-26 still shoots at a reasonably speedy rate at 600 RPM, which can often be enough to win a lot of gunfights within those close to mid-ranges, though the FG-42 just pits it to the post, shooting at the speed of 670 RPM, an increase of about 11%. This means that in a close quarter shootout between the two guns, technically speaking, the FG-42 is going to have the slight edge, and because it kills in less time, it also means that you might be more capable of mowing down a couple of enemies in quick succession a little easier too. The LS-26 doesn't have access to a bayonet, unlike the FG-42, which could potentially make it even more dangerous in CQC. Though with both guns already being pretty powerful within those closer sight lines, this doesn't exactly make a massive difference here. Though it's pretty safe to say that the FG-42's extra speed is going to put it on top regarding kill times in a lot of cases. So both the FG-42 and LS-26 can kill at some fairly nice speeds, but that's providing you can get your bullets to connect, which shouldn't be too hard for either weapon if your opponent is nearby. But that might be a bit of a different story if they're not. If we look at the recoil patterns, we can see that the FG-42's got the heftiest kick, with a vertical recoil value of 0.76. So this is a bit more than the LS-26's, having a value of 0.7 instead. And because the FG-42 fires at a faster rate, this recoil is going to stack up quicker, forcing the muzzle to drift upwards in a more exaggerated way. It's important to point out that the FG-42 does have a slightly higher vertical recoil decrease value, helping to make it more controllable with prolonged fire a tiny bit. But this still isn't enough to make a drastic difference in the weapon's performance, as it's still generally going to seem to veer upwards more than the LS-26 nevertheless. The same thing can also be said about the gun's horizontal recoil too, affecting the accuracy of both weapons, as the FG-42 is going to jump a little bit more from side to side, having a higher figure of 0.25 as opposed to just 0.2. This gives the LS-26 the superior stability and precision, potentially making it easier to use, and more effective at landing shots over medium range. And in its base form without specializations, the LS-26 has the better accuracy stats on paper. Not to mention that the gun's also got a quicker bullet speed too, with a muzzle velocity of 800 meters per second instead of 740. So not only will it have a more manageable recoil pattern and a steadier fire rate, but its shots are also going to travel through the air at a faster pace too, helping to make it seem even easier to use over those further distances. But let's throw those specializations into the mix, because some of these are going to improve the recoil stats, making both weapons more precise. If you slap the recoil buffer onto the LS26, this will reduce that upwards kick down to just 0.56. The recoil buffer on the FG-42 on the other hand will drop it down to 0.61, which is still lower than the base LS26, but not if it's got that recoil buffer applied. Both of the LMGs also have access to the porty barrel too, lowering that horizontal recoil to improve accuracy over range. And if you add it to the LS26, then that horizontal recoil will be lowered down to just 0.15, making it a very accurate gun indeed, with a similar sort of value to the Bren. Adding the porty barrel onto the FG-42 however, will put the gun on the same level as the base LS26, with a new horizontal value of 0.2. A pretty nice improvement, but still not enough to give it any sort of advantage over the LS26 in terms of precision. It's interesting to point out that while the LS26 can have both the porty barrel and recoil buffer applied at the same time, the FG-42 can't, down to the way they're positioned on the spec tree. So this can have implications on the weapon's overall performance when it comes to accuracy and stability. Though at least the two guns both have access to bipods, which can come in handy when they're being used from stationary positions. The two guns might have quite a lot of differences when it comes to precision, but they actually handle with ammunition in a very similar way to each other, often giving them the same sort of feel. Despite being light machine gun type weapons, they both hold a total of 20 rounds at a time, so they're usually capable of killing about 2 or 3 players one after the other, but you're gonna struggle to get past many more. This is mainly down to the combination of a low ammo capacity and fairly high fire rate, with the FG-42 blitzing through those bullets at a slightly faster pace, sometimes making it seem a little bit less reliable when you're up against multiple enemies one after the other, as you might find yourself running out of shots earlier, with the number of bullets you fire out being a bit harder to moderate on the go. This combination can spell quite a few issues within dangerous territory, which just so happens to be where both weapons are going to perform at their best, as if you get outnumbered or get a little bit too gung-ho and fire off all 20 rounds in a risky situation, then you're going to be put in a very vulnerable position, often leaving you open to attack. Thankfully, with the LS26 and FG-42 both being magazine-fed machine guns, this does make those reloads a bit more responsive and consistent, as it's not exactly going to take tons of time to swap those mags around. The reload times between the two guns are also extremely similar to each other, with the FG-42 having marginally quicker tactical reloads, and the LS26 having marginally quicker empty ones. You're barely going to notice a difference between their reloads, as the FG-42's tactical reload with bullets left over is 2.25 seconds, whereas the LS26's comes in at 2.3. The LS26's empty reloads take 3.3 seconds, and the FG-42's take 3.45. So, like I said, pretty much no noticeable difference whatsoever, which basically puts the two guns on a level playing field in the way they handle with ammunition. I guess one of the bigger differences regarding reliability could come down to the fact that the LS26 has access to the slings and swivels specialization, speeding up deploy time, which could be a very handy choice to pick if you're planning on boosting its hipfire, whereas the FG-42 has access to a lightened stock instead, making it easier to pop in and out of cover while aiming down sights. Though as far as reliability goes, there isn't really a hell of a lot of difference between the two guns, with the FG-42 possibly being slightly less dependable, due to it firing a bit faster, therefore making its stream of bullets a tad harder to control and moderate. So which gun should you choose? They both have similar sort of pros and cons, being pretty dangerous within close to mid ranges, and they're both very good choices for aggressive players alike. The FG-42 might perhaps be the slightly angrier gun that holds more of a grudge against its enemies. It's got the superior fire rate, and in a lot of cases this can result in faster kill times, making it the deadlier option in CQC, whether you're sneaking around in a building or working your way through a network of cover pieces, taking down other players within closer proximities. And this is where the FG-42 might prove to be the more effective weapon to use. The slightly slower firing LS26 is still fully capable of taking down its opponents within short sight lines, but it's more likely to get outmatched by other weapons in the game, with its fire rate still being decent, but not quite as ferocious. The gun does, however, have better accuracy stats and nippier bullet speed, therefore allowing it to perform more reliably against players further away, outside of close quarters, where the FG-42 might struggle a little bit more due to its heavier kick. You probably won't have to burst fire quite as much with the LS26, meaning you can hold down that trigger for longer when gunning down your enemies over medium ranges. and with it being the more precise weapon of the two, this can often reflect on its kill times over further distances, making them faster and making it easier to take care of your enemies here, due to less shots straying off target. This is one aspect that makes the LS26 a more versatile choice, giving it a little bit more usability over a wider range. That's not to say the FG-42 sucks beyond CQC, but it'll be a bit harder to control and land shots on target if your opponent is outside of the gun's comfort zone. As far as reliability and ammo management goes, both guns are pretty much on par with each other, having the same ammo capacity and, well, almost identical reload speeds, so you're probably not going to notice a massive difference there. Though I guess with the LS26 shooting at that slightly slower rate, the number of shots fired out can often seem a little bit easy to moderate, allowing you to be a bit more efficient with its fairly small 20-round magazines. You're not going to be able to keep gunning and gunning though, as neither of the two weapons are particularly brilliant things to have when you're overwhelmed by the enemy team. But the FG-42 might seem like the riskier gun to roll with, spraying its bullets quicker and forcing you to reload earlier, though it'll give you the deadlier results as a reward. Generally speaking, the FG-42 is going to be the more vicious, offensive weapon that should be used closer to all the action, whilst ducking in and out of cover to reload, as its sheer power and speed are the gun's strongest factors that are going to give you an edge in close quarters. Whereas the LS26 is a slightly less aggressive weapon with a higher degree of accuracy, and this means that it might not be as brutal within shorter sightlines, but it'll be a tad more dependable and versatile, making those mid-ranged opponents a little easier to take down instead. So that's pretty much it for this one, folks. Hope you enjoyed the video. Give me a like if you did, and of course make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell if you want to be the first to see new content coming soon. Thanks for watching, and I'll be seeing you in that next episode.